Hey, I'm really excited that you're getting ready to go on a trip. Maybe you're going to go into another country or another culture. You're going to go and do something you've never done before. And I'm very excited for you to be able to do that. But as you go, I want you to go with the right reason. Go for the right reason. So to start off, we're going to do a series of videos here to help you kind of get ready to think differently about what you're going to be doing. In fact, that's what we're calling it, thinking differently. So the first thing, we're going to have you to stop the video and talk to the people around you. And I want you to answer this question. How could someone go on a trip like this for the wrong reason? What are some of the wrong reasons people go on a trip like this? Go ahead and stop the video and talk to your friends. Okay, you're right. Some of those things, some of those reasons are pretty kind of selfish. You know, I want to see another part of the world. I want to go and have an adventure. I want to help somebody. I want to go and learn more about another culture. And maybe I want to go because my friend is going and we want to do this together. Maybe I want sort of a glorified vacation. I want to go and see something really cool, have some fun, and maybe do something helpful along the way. Those are not the best reasons to go. Just because you want to feel needed or feel important, that's not the best reason to go. So I want you now to stop that video and I want you to talk about what are the right reasons to go on a trip like this. What should motivate us? Go ahead and talk about that. Okay, exactly. We want to go for the right reasons because we want to represent the Lord Jesus. We want to go and serve. We want to learn about another people and how we can encourage them, bless them, how we can do what Jesus said, go into all the world and preach the gospel, to tell people about Jesus. I want to be available and faithful. I want to go and learn and grow. I want to honor and glorify God. So going for the right reasons is really important. I love this story of this monkey. It's called the parable of the monkey and the fish. You might have heard it before, but I want to tell it to you. One day, monkey was sitting up in his tree and he was as far back under the shelter of the branches as he could get. There was a huge typhoon, lots of wind and rain and lightning and thunder and flooding. It was terrible. And he was feeling secure way back in the shelter where he was safe from all the storm. But as he was sitting there, so safe and protected, he looked out, and there in the river below him, the river that was flooded and rushing with water, he looked down and clearly he could see in the water a fish. The little fish struggling to move upstream. He was with all of his might trying to make his way across the current, and the monkey immediately sensed the danger. This fish was trapped in the water, the flood water, and so immediately the monkey took action. He jumped up from where he was and he made his way out into the storm and the wind and the rain on him. He didn't even stop. He kept going. He went down closer and closer to the river and he found a branch that was really precariously dangling over the place where the fish was struggling. He made his way out there on that wobbly branch and he sat right above the fish, and against the wind he reached his hand down into the water and he just took that little fish and he plucked it right out of the water. He held it close to his chest and he ran back up into his shelter, and there the monkey put the little fish down on the ground, on the floor right in front of him in that shelter, and the little fish at first was jumping all around, obviously very joyful that he'd been rescued, and then pretty soon he was very peaceful and rested, and it just looked like he was sleeping so comfortably. The monkey was filled with joy and pride. So now I want to ask you a couple of questions about this little parable. You obviously see what was happening there, but I want you to talk to your friends about this story and see what you can learn from it. One, what was the monkey's motivation? Why did he do this? What moved him? Go ahead and stop the video here and talk to your friends. Okay. Good. You probably discovered some of the same things that I did. One, he was motivated by compassion. He had great love in his heart. He sensed that there was a fish in danger. He had good intentions to rescue him. He only had the best motivation to go and to help this little fish. Now, here's the next question. What words would you use to describe the monkey? Think about who he is in his character. How would you describe him? Go ahead and stop the video, and I want you to answer that question now. Yeah, there's some really great words we could use to describe him. He was brave. He was bold. He was selfless. He didn't consider the danger to himself. He was willing to take action. He immediately jumped in and went to rescue. He was motivated well. We could describe him with great words. Now the third thing, why did the monkey help the fish by taking it out of the water? Go ahead and stop the video and see if you can figure out why he helped the fish by taking it out of the water. Okay, yeah, it's pretty clear. He thought the fish was in danger. He considered the fish's life to be in danger, and he wanted to help, so he immediately took action. Okay, one more question, the fourth one. What did the monkey assume about fish culture? What assumptions did he make about fish culture? Go ahead and stop the video and talk to your friends. Okay, yeah, he assumed that fish culture was the same as monkey culture. That what would be dangerous to a monkey, to be in the river during a storm trying to swim, would be the same danger for the fish. He was drawing some conclusions about fish culture based on his own culture. And we understand that he wasn't correct. And that's the danger, is when we start assuming that others are just like us. Now, number 5, what do you think the fish was feeling about the help he was receiving from the monkey? Go ahead and stop the video. Yeah, I'm sure that the fish was very confused. He was probably a little fearful. He felt like he had no control over the situation. It was even a little painful, and eventually became very painful. He had no idea why the monkey was trying to do this, because he didn't view it at all as helpful. One more question, the last one. What advice would you give to the monkey for future interactions with the fish? What advice would you give to the monkey about future interactions with other animals? Go ahead and stop the video. Okay, probably some good advice there. We'd say, develop a relationship. Be a learner. Serve to meet their needs, not just what you perceive to be the best needs. See, the monkey was courageous. He had good intentions and good motives. He had lots of zeal, but his enthusiasm was misdirected because of his own ignorance. He couldn't see beyond his own little world, and so he had no other frame of reference. And he believed what was dangerous to him had to be dangerous for the fish. So no matter what was good for him, it wasn't going to be good for the fish. So even though he acted out of ignorance and out of his limited understanding, he ended up doing more damage than good, and especially than the good he intended. We can do the same thing if we're not careful. We can, with the best intentions, go into a situation and really make things worse. So we want to list a couple of things that will help us as we go into another culture to be a learner. We need to understand that what the culture requires and what's good for them. We're not trying to teach them our way, or obviously the right way, the way we do it, but we want to do what's best. So the first thing is watch your host. They're going to be your example. Before you jump in and start picking up the chicken leg and thigh with your hands like you would at home, watch to see what your host does. Oh, you don't use your hands at this meal, you use a knife or fork. So you watch someone else and you follow their example. You don't just push ahead and say, I'll show you. I'll show you what we do at home. Be a learner. The second thing is ask good questions. And try to ask in a way that's not judgmental. Don't start off by saying, that's weird. Why do people drive on the wrong side of the road here? One, you've said that's weird. You're obviously condemning it and saying that it's not right. And then secondly, you've said they're driving on the wrong side of the road. You're also making a judgment statement. You can ask, interesting, I see people here drive on the left side of the road. Huh, where did that come from? Where did that tradition start? You tried not to do very much value in judgment in that question, but you're asking questions in a way that says you want to learn, not that you're critiquing it. Third thing is try to research before you go. You can look at the internet, it gives you lots of information about culture and tradition and how they do it. You can talk to some people who've been there. You can talk to some people who are from there, live there, understand their culture, ask tons of questions, do some research before you go. Number 4, observe the culture before you comment. There have been times when I've seen somebody doing something really odd and I assume that's what they do here. And when I finally ask someone, they go, I have no idea what that guy is doing. We never do that. So sometimes we see just a little bit of the culture, or we see one person wearing that or doing that or saying that, and our mistake is to assume everyone does that. That's making a stereotype or prejudging the entire culture based on one thing. Number 5, watch your words. Your words and your face. You communicate always. When you go to another culture, people probably know some English, and they are listening and they are watching you always. So be careful about your words. Be careful about your expression. There was a time in Chile when the Chileans were asking us to do something on a kids' team, and they were asking the kids to climb up on some scaffolding that was really just a table and then a chair and then a ladder and then a stick and do something really high up, and I was not happy about it. And so I started to complain to one of our team members about the Chileans thinking this would be safe. There were a couple of Chileans around, but I had never heard them speak any English, and so I was saying something that probably I would never have said had I known they could understand. And one of the Chileans turned to me and answered in almost perfect English why they were doing that. And then I felt really bad because my words had been unkind, because I assumed they didn't know. So you want to always assume that people can understand. You want to always make sure your words are respectful, and especially your face, because even if they can't understand the language, they're watching your face. Number 6, be an adventurous discoverer. Show value for what you see. Don't just assume the negative. Once we were in Philippines and we went down to the huge city dump. And as we were there, you could see a little boy. He had a bag, and he was going through the garbage, and he was picking out pieces of plastic and putting it in his bag. And one of the people on the team really began to complain about this culture that would allow children to go out and pick through the garbage, and this was wrong, and somebody should go and get that kid and rescue him, and he was just really being negative about the culture. And the missionary just stopped him and said, do you understand what's going on here? This little boy gets up every morning before anyone else in his family, and he comes down to this dump and he picks up plastic, and he'll do that for like an hour, hour and a half, and they'll take that full bag of plastic and he'll walk into the village and he'll give it to or sell it to someone who recycles, and he'll make a few coins, and then he makes his way to the market and he buys some some food, a little bit of rice and a little bit of fruit, and he'll take it back to his family as they're waking up. And he's actually providing for his family. So what he is doing is noble. It's honorable. It's a good thing. We need to bless that, and we need to acknowledge it. So as we go, we don't want to go with our own monkey attitudes and perspective. We want to go as a learner. We want to value and respect the culture. We want to do what's needed. We want to be careful not to do any damage, but only to help. So I hope this helps you a little bit, especially as you start thinking about your own attitude and heart as you get ready to go. Let's go for the right reasons. Let's honor God in everything we do and say, okay?